Hello, everyone, and who's ready for an item collecting part?
Oh boy!
Yay, clean up.
Clean up and getting some new goodies. So, technically optional, but still goodies all the same.
Clean up, everybody, do your share. Clean up, from Bistar and to Norfair.
I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and this is reminding me of, hey, let's play a game. It's called Clean Up All Your Shit.
You have to be very delicate when you teach them that. You got to make it seem full and exciting, and then you let them down.
And
what are we going to play? 52 pickup.
Why am I fighting this thing?
Why are you?
Because as a flex, probably because you have a charge shot now.
Oh, because I'm trying to get this, and I want it out of the way.
Item cleanup in the Prime games does tend to feel a little bit more tedious than in the 2D ones, generally. Unless if we're talking, like, Fusion and Zero Mission. Because item cleanup or
Fusion, like Super, you can get a good chunk of shit along the way, but it is the beginning of the unfortunate trend where there is like 1 or 2 pickups you cannot get until you are ready for endgame. And that requires a singular revisit if you played your cards right, but it's still very, very fucking unnecessary. And Zero Mission does the same thing.
The game that I think was the worst with that was Samus Returns. Because there's a bunch of stuff.
The baby Metroid.
Yeah, with the baby Metroid.
Literally cannot even 100% that game until you get the baby Metroid, which is endgame.
Yeah.
See, normally I route this game to get all the pickups in as minimal trips as possible. So normally I do cleanup once it's like, okay, it's time to get X-ray and plasma, because I know at that point I have everything I need to do cleanup.
It is unfortunate that, like, I can't really speak for the... I can speak for the remaster, because I did 100% this game once. But normally, when I'm thinking of, like, fully completing this game, I am playing original NTSC so I can get Space Jump early. Because it has to be stressed again, having Space Jump early does remove a lot of fucking backtracking, especially for like the 1 or 2 missile expansions you can get now instead of having to wait until you get there's a half pipe in one of the first rooms in the Chozo ruins that you can't do anything with until you get Boost Ball, and that's in Fendrana. And while you will naturally likely find your way going back to Chozo mines anyway, for one reason or another, it just helps that if you can get it now so you don't have to go to that room specifically.
And then we start throwing on some of the tricks I taught you last time. So things like early ice beam, plasma beam, gravity suit, power bombs. Oh, early power bombs.
One thing I will say is that, talking about the overall 100% structure of a game is all well and good, but that isn't really the main design goal of all this non-linearity. It's more for that first blind run.
To give you something to discover just because you were curious about something.
To give you that feeling of solving the puzzle box of the game's design in real time, basically.
Yeah.
And then there's the Shine Spark puzzles in Dread that I hate so much.
But at least at least you know where those are. Like, they're pretty obvious. It's like, oh, this is some stupid Shine Spark bullshit. I will say that, at the very least, one thing that Dread does do is that you tend to loop back through earlier areas pretty, like, seamlessly on a casual run. Which means that, like, and you'll often have pretty much everything you need to mostly clean up on your, like, second visit back normally. Unless if you're, like, skipping things altogether.
I want to go back to what Lewis was saying earlier about, like, an aspect of the design of why it is that way. I don't disagree, but could you also argue that it's only relevant for your first playthrough, and then after you've played the game, like, and you've seen what you've seen, and you start, like, revisiting, doesn't it now become a matter of, like,
that depends on how you revisit games, because a lot of us don't play the same game 20 times per year, I tend to deliberately leave a game in the background of my memory for years before I revisit it. And then
so basically, when you revisit it, it might as well be a fresh experience.
Yes, and one of the things that I actually find when I do that is that I tend to make a lot of the same decisions that I did the first time around.
Bustin'.
Sorry, go on, go on.
Like, I'll often... It's actually kind of surprising to me how often my thought process repeats itself across those playthroughs because I've forgotten the experience. I'll often do the same thing again that I did on my first blind run, you know? Sorry, I had to mute my mic for a second there.
Can't get that now.
I mean, we could. It takes a very finicky jump, but you can get it now.
That would have been good to know, but we'll come back for it.
Is that a
I think it's NTSC 1.0 exclusive, though, because like everything else in NTSC 1.0, water physics be jank.
Yeah, we'll come back for that artifact later when we have the gravity suit.
It was funny because, like, I've been kind of experiencing something similar to what you were describing, not so much with the Metroid, but with the Castlevania games, because at the time of recording this part, I just finished recording Harmony of Dissonance for the video, and that game is not... I haven't played that game in close to 20 years, I want to say. And there are aspects of it I still recall, but there's a lot that I don't remember, and I don't know if that's necessarily for the better, but there were aspects that I just completely stumbled upon because it's been so long since I last played the game. I might as well was just replaying the game for the first time.
Yeah, and...
My memory is weird, and I'll either remember something like 100% perfectly for ages and ages and ages, or I just won't remember it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there. But, like... Because I go out of my way to forget how to do things in games, I'll often have moments of deja vu where I'll do a thing, like I'll find a particular secret, I'll be like, yeah, I knew that was there, and then I was like, wait, I remember finding this before. and it's not even necessarily because I remembered that there was something there, but it's because I responded to the same telegraph within the game design in the same way, and I found the same secret door that was like vaguely telegraphed to the player by a quirk in the geometry or something.
And then there's us where it's like, hey, you're supposed to not be able to get here till endgame. Oh, I didn't know that. I just Skyrim my way up.
I mean, so I know that this is a difference in like preference. I don't particularly enjoy using exploits, or major exploits, I should say, in most games.
Yeah, it depends on the severity of the exploit. I think we talked about this previously, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure we've talked about this previously.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for forever. We've repeated
No, I mean within the same commentary.
Are you sure?
Yes. But go ahead.
It's a Metroid game. I mean,
that's true.
That's come up.
Yeah, but it's just like, so, like, I know that Metroid and exploits kind of go hand in hand, so, you know, again, I understand that I might be the minority in this situation, but it just doesn't necessarily, I don't feel a lot of pride thinking that I broke the game. Like, I'd rather, I guess it just goes to how you view the game experience. Like, a lot of the time, with this kind of game, I'm like, okay, this is the experience that the developers laid out for me, and I want to envision that. And if I break the game, then it's like, well, now what?
It's interesting because, like, when you say a matter of pride, are we talking a matter of pride as in, yeah, suck it, devs, or a matter of pride as in, oh, hey, I can do this? Because to me, it's the latter. Because, like, when I'm playing like Super Metroid, right, and I discover tricks like Mach Ball, or like the fast charge for the speed booster and that sort of thing, I'm more prideful in the fact that I have the ability to actually do them with enough practice, and not so much sticking my thumb in my nose and saying neener to the devs.
Well, I mean, that's the case for any, like, high skill expression kind of situation, you know, and I would imagine that's a similar sort of feeling to, like, mastering a really long and difficult Tekken combo, or getting perfect mega combo in a rhythm game, you know, versus you know, like the thing that I'm more talking about is like let's say I'm playing generic sandbox game, Grand Theft Larceny, and I discover that I can walk through walls by wiggling against the wall really quick. I wouldn't particularly find much like it would be funny. I would enjoy watching a YouTube video about that, but I wouldn't get much satisfaction out of like beating the game that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, me personally, I always preferred the prequel, Steely Wheely Automobile.
Steely Wheely Automobile. You know,
For me, it's a matter of kind of how cheap are the devs being in return to me. Because if it's
That
one of
is
those, if it's one of those stupid hard games where the game is just brazenly cheating, I have no qualms about breaking it in half.
that is a good
you
point.
see
Like if you're
assholes.
playing,
But you can't do that because you not only cheat the game but yourself, Ryan.
well, no, Ryan does bring a good point. Context matters. Like if you're playing a bullshit hard game, like I like the back and forth like imaginary parasocial unhealthy relationship I have with the creators of this game goes out the window, and then it's more just about like, oh well, I want to win now.
Yeah, kind of. For me, part of the equation is whether or not it's something that I found out about by myself, though. Like, if I discover an exploit without any outside help, even if someone else discovered it before me, I don't need to be the first one there. I just need to have figured it out myself. You know?
Yes.
Then fine. I'll take ownership of that. I will gladly use that. But I'm not going to go online and say, okay, how many ways can I break this game in half so that some other much better gamer than me 20 years ago gets to do all the thinking in my goddamn playthrough. That's just not fun.
I just get pointed out of game, and it's just a case of, all right, let's see how badly we can break you.
Yeah, to me, and I know I mentioned this earlier, but I draw the line at out of bounds stuff. I don't like going out of bounds. I like to remain within the boundaries of a game structure. And like if there's an exploit I can do in regard, but while still playing within the rules of the game, then I'll likely do it. You know, I immediately think of Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. If you dash along the boundaries of an exit and eat a food item before the screen transitions, you can skip all the final dungeon, and Shantae just floats up in the air.
Yep.
It's funny, and I think I've done it for a charity event, but it is very unfulfilling.
Yeah, especially since that area is like hard as balls and actually
Yeah.
does feel satisfying to finish once you get to the end.
Yeah.
Shantae, those are empty carbs. You feel nothing.
I'm feeling something.
I don't know how great of a comparison that is though, because empty carbs are the most delicious type of carbs. Don't boo me, you know I'm right.
Don't bother me, scan data. I'm too busy getting at things.
But we just finished completing the anal cis. You gotta look at it up.
Hey, you should check out this place. Why? It's fucking freezing.
You never seen
Oh, that's where
anything
Victor
like
freezes.
this. The antechamber.
Oh, is the game telling you, hey dude, go here, dumbass?
Yeah, it's the hit
Yeah,
system.
Yeah, it's the, hey, dipshit, go here.
Yeah, so in normal playthrough, when you're taking a long time to get to the next objective, the game will just tell you should probably head in this direction. It is something you can turn off if you find it intrusive, but it is on by default. And honestly, I don't mind it. Like
I definitely like it for a first playthrough just to kind of get me moving.
You know, and it doesn't require you having to go to a navigation room, say in Fusion, and have Adam just forcefully tell you this shit. You know,
At least Prime 3 just tells you, and then you can either just have the option to show you where it is on the map, or just say, hey, head here. Okay, map updated. You don't need
you
to
really
see
just
it.
couldn't be
Check it
bothered to
outside.
jump over those caps. it's like going my way.
When they,
A little
when they say
fungal
boss in a
infection
cap,
doesn't
I don't
bother
think that's what they
Samus.
mean.
Ah, man.
Also, we can't get, like, one item here because we need gravity suit.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's-
annoying if there's
it's in the
only
water
one
here.
item left that you
Yeah.
can't get without the gravity suit.
I forgot, what are we doing here, actually?
We're getting a missile pack that we can get with
Oh,
Spider
okay.
Resources, me boy.
Does Prime have the thing that the 2D games have where, like, if you're missing a missile or whatever in a room, it will mark it on there?
On
Nope.
Prime 1 and Prime 2, no. Prime 3, yes, but it's hidden.
It's hidden. What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's something you have to interact with.
It's in Skytown in the isolated subsection with the observatory. You have to activate several satellites there, and then once you've activated them all, the 3D map then displays little white dots where every single expansion in the game is.
Which is funny because, like, maybe it's a Mandela effect, but I could have sworn at least the trilogy version of Prime had that.
Nope.
But I might be misremembering.
I went through every version last year. They did not have it. It is Prime 3 exclusive.
That is nuts.
So the thing that irritates me in Super Metroid is that they have the markers, but they mark just if an expansion is there. They don't mark if you've collected it or not, which makes looking at the map and remembering which ones you've gotten and which ones you haven't a pain in the ass. It's like
on Prime 3, the dot does change to like a small white X.
Yeah, and that's what happens in Fusion Zero Mission Dread.
Well, in Zero Mission Infusion, it's like a set of parentheses for an item you haven't picked up yet, and then when you collect it, it's a small dot.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. But in Super Metroid, I'm pretty sure it's a square. It's just squares all the time.
It's always a dot. In Super Metroid, it's always a dot.
Yeah.
Yep, a collection of 4 pixels.
It still frickin' blows my mind that for as annoying as 100%ing Breath of the Wild is, the Korok seeds are still one of the most convenient collectibles on the planet. Because
describe convenient.
Convenient in the sense that when you get one, it is marked on the map permanently. You know where you have collected the Korok seeds. Okay. There is a piece of equipment that makes a noise when you get near one.
The Korok mask.
There is almost always some sort of visual telegraphing to make you look in the direction of a Korok seed, and you know exactly how many you have by looking at the loading screen. So it's really just a matter of figuring out where you haven't been yet. There's also
the what's the thing? The thingy that shows you where exactly on the map you've walked. I use that all the time to be like, okay, so I haven't been here specifically. I will go there.
I mean, at the time of this video's release, tomorrow will be the day you get GPS in your Zelda games. Yay!
They added GPS for the Switch 2 version.
It requires an external app.
There's a mobile app that's compatible with the Switch 2 version of both Breath of the Wild games, and that gives you a bunch of additional functionality. It's basically a retread of the original idea of using your Wii U gamepad with the game, which was a thing that they dropped because I guess they didn't want the Wii U version to be better than the Switch version.
Even though the Wii U version runs like absolute dog shit.
GPS, what the fuck? It's like past the next shrine, enter the shrine.
Actually, the Wii version doesn't run worse than the Switch version. Weirdly,
oh no, it does. Believe you me, it does.
It's weird because I played both versions, and what my experience was that they both had slowdown in different places, and I have no idea why. Because it's like Kakariko Village runs fine on the Wii U from what I remember. And that's one of the places where on Switch it slowed down. But like
games have gotten updates though since like you've probably played them.
Yeah, there have been some optimizations for Wii U, but the Switch got a hell of a lot more to fix a lot of the slowdowns.
Ugh, I don't remember it improving Kakariko Village though.
No, Kakariko did have a lot of slowdown. I think in Wii U's case the worst was the Lost Woods.
Well, Lost Woods terrible in Switch 2, to be fair. Switch as well. The Switch 2 version from the previews I saw has basically no frame rate drops, which is neat.
To be fair, though, if you're in Lost Woods and you're not setting up a campfire next to the Master Sword and mashing the A button, quite frankly, you're doing it wrong.
Come on, like, let's burn this motherfucker down.
But you know, the funniest thing about the Breath of the Wild performance issues is that Kakariko Village is basically the same in Tears of the Kingdom. It runs perfectly. It's just,
I guess,
better
5 years
optimized.
of development time will do that.
Well,
I
more
suppose.
development time, better engine optimizations, better.
They get to use all the Switch's hardware instead of having to assume that a Wii U's playing it. I guess also helps.
I mean, like, out of curiosity though, because like again, this should be the Wednesday part, and the Switch 2 I think is coming out literally the day after this or the day of.
Depending if you're going to a midnight release or not.
Like, obviously, everyone's gonna, like, in terms of like new releases, everyone's probably gonna be trying out Mario Kart World, what have you. But like on the Switch end of things, like, what games are you curious to try and load up on your Switch 2 to see if there's any sort of like performance upgrade? That's not directly marketed as a Switch 2 version.
To keep
You know
on
what I
the
mean?
Zelda tangent, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity runs like absolute ass on the Switch.
You know
Okay.
what? I'm actually
and-
curious to see if anything will be done for this Link's Awakening. Remake.
Link's Awakening and Echo of Wisdom are like part of the 10 games that are like confirmed to have Switch 2 upgrades.
Okay,
So,
all right. I did not see that.
One game I would like to try would actually be Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Just because that has resolution drops in the handheld mode.
All right, I'm sorry. Like I'm a little gooner brain right now, but I thought the sleeves were like just massive breasts from the way Samus was staring at them in that dark room. I'm
John,
sorry.
Rest,
don't be
and so I can
ridiculous,
ogle you.
John. The Chozo are bird people. They don't breastfeed.
Samus, cousin, let's go bowling.
You know that's the kind of thing that bugs me in like the Elder Scrolls, right? You have lizard people, but as of Skyrim, they just inexplicably have mammalian female profiles for some reason, even
So
though
you
they
can know they're
shouldn't.
women.
They're lizard people. They're the
Yeah, but
exact
you gotta
opposite.
know that.
They're not mammals.
You
They
gotta
are
lean
not
You
into
know
the
they're
other
lady if
as-
they don't have titty.
You gotta
They're
lean into the
lizard
other aspects
people.
of it. Imagine for a moment a 2-year-old Samus who's been taken in by the Chozo after her parents died, being fed by a Chozo who has chewed up the food in its mouth and then is regurgitating into Samus's mouth.
Hungry fella.
Are you sure this is how humans eat? It works for me.
Look, okay, if humans can figure out baby formula, bird people can figure out baby formula. I'm just gonna say.
I don't know. These people just all
And
these people.
lizard people can say, "Hey, I don't think we need the breast."
I don't know if the Chozo can figure out anything other than dying and putting statues up all over the place. So, you know,
Do you ever think that the statues are just made of like dried baby feed?
The thing that bothers me more about the animal races in Elder Scrolls though is that they used to look more like animals. They just made them look more human in later games to make them easier to animate, because everyone on the planet animates in the exact same way. Now
Almost like they use the exact same teachings. Thank you, Disney.
oh man, Princess Peach can't be put into Skyrim. She'd be too hard to animate her.
Also,
dress.
that little kerfuffle we have with the Chozo Ghost, you can skip that technically by just jumping onto the solar collectors on the wall and then jumping up to the morph ball slot.
You know, Ted, I don't know about Princess Peach in Skyrim, but if you have the Switch version of Skyrim, you get an official Master Sword and Link's blue tunic. Why the blue one and not the green one? Well, because Breath
we
of
can
the
breathe
Wild is
underwater?
king, obviously.
I
no,
mean,
no.
to be fair, I like the blue for him better than the green. I know that this might be like.
Are we talking just like the blue shirt from Breath of the Wild?
I think
Yeah.
the blue color
Yes.
scheme works better, personally. Like,
I gotta think about that because I still associate Link with green more than anything. And I like the blue. I like the blue outfit in Breath of the Wild as well. But you know, but Link wearing blue goes back as early as like the past.
Yeah.
You know,
Link to the Past.
It's
I like-
it's a starting shirt in Wind Waker. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't have a sword design; it has a crab design, but it's basically the same shirt otherwise.
but you can wear that, and you can wear that outfit. I think in a New Game Plus.
on
Yes,
Hero
you
Mode.
can,
Wind
because
Waker? Yeah.
you go to get the hero's outfit and it's just invisible.
It's invisible, yeah.
And Granny's like, what are you complaining about? No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, you can see it. It's off. It's fine. What are you complaining about? Don't be such a little shit. Now get out there and find your sister.
I do very much prefer the blue tunic in Breath of the Wild, but
Ooh, triple hit.
but
Nice.
unfortunately, it's an unfair comparison in the Breath of the Wild games because the actual classic Link version costume that actually belongs to Breath of the Wild and isn't a costume from another game is a dog shit design. So
Yeah, it looks like it's too small for him. Like it got shrunk 2 sizes in the dryer.
Man, 10,000 plus years of technology and they still can't get the washer and dryer combo right.
What-
Shake my damn head.
what it looks like to me is an abandoned beta design. It doesn't look like an actual design that was,
They were
fully thought out
trying
and
to base
vetted.
it off of the NES original design, but what works in 2D doesn't strictly always work in 3D.
Well, no. No, you see, that's an interesting thing to bring up, because there's another costume in that goddamn game that is literally the 8-bit design.
And that one looks fine, yeah.
Yeah, it looks fun. Well, I mean, I could take or leave the color, the color contrast on that one, because it's a little too brown and a little not green enough. But you know, it like the design is fine. It looks fine.
I think that with those DLC costumes, I think they were actually amiibo costumes. The problem is that they were trying to differentiate like 5 different versions of the same goddamn outfit. So it's like they really had to exaggerate the differences. Like the Twilight Princess one, if I remember correctly, looks like somebody ran it through the mud in order to have like the
No, the Twilight Princess one is fine in terms of design. The problem is that it doesn't really fit the cel shady look that Breath of the Wild uses anymore, because like that outfit was designed for a grittier art style than it landed in. It still looks better than the Tunic of the Wild set, but
but we're forgetting the best one of them all, the Fierce Deity set.
Yes, Fierce Deity. Actually, I bumbled into the side quest for that one in Tears of the Kingdom really early on, so I had that really early on, and it turns out it has one of the best bonuses in the game.
Yes, and it's also really easy to upgrade it.
I was trying to Google like Breath of the Wild Link costumes, and it just sent me a plethora of fucking Amazon links for Halloween costumes. This is not what I wanted to see.
Dude,
well, I mean,
people still love.
It's not available yet.
Although there's one particular costume where like I saw that I'm putting it in the Discord. You get to put it on the video itself, but that's squad goals right there. I wish I was as confident as that guy was.
What?
Well, I can't see it. I'm just gonna.
Holding the.
I'll put it in the general chat too. I realize
holding the Chuck E. Cheese Master Sword toy that you get for 3,000 tickets.
I'm going to assume that's an old one, because anyone cosplaying today would at least buy a foam Master Sword that's full size.
I mean, that thing could be foam.
It could be, but it's not full size, so.
Yeah, like that's the size of like. That's slightly bigger than a knife. Like, the Master Sword's a full long sword.
It's a Master Sword for hobbits.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
It glows when there's a moblin nearby.
Did you ever see, like, one of those many live-action YouTube videos they tried in the 2000s for, like, a Legend of Zelda concept? It reminds me of them.
Oh, like, you know, it's like, this is what the Zelda movie was.
Yeah, before Peter Jackson came along and showed us all what a fantasy movie should actually look like in action.
Walked up and said, better.
Well, you know, I'm being maybe a little bit harsh. Willow looked okay.
And I have no idea what the Zelda movie's going to look like. Like, I hope it's good, but, like, Zelda doesn't really lend it... I guess Mario didn't lend itself to a movie really either,
I don't think we could really say for sure, like, what lends itself to live action setting unless we actually see the fucking thing.
Well, no, I mean just like I'm not talking about live action versus animation. I'm talking like the story of typical Zeldas does not lend itself to a theatrical script. Like,
doesn't it?
Yeah, but isn't that the job of the writers to make an adaptation that works in live action setting?
I disagree.
I mean, the series doesn't really work well for, like, say, a manga adaptation, but by God, they did it for a lot of games.
No, I would say it works.
Job of it.
I would say it works much better for a manga because mangas are episodic in nature. They allow you to, like, spend time letting the character grow and, like, wander around, which befits a story where you're going from temple to temple finding shiny coins.
Jim!
I'd like to think those two were actually just cracking up in the container and just, like, eating the phase off.
Experiment. If you want to see a Zelda manga done right, the Twilight Princess manga is great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love the Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess, Four Swords Adventures, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina of Time. Mwah!
Yeah, but like a movie doesn't have time for a lot of, like in Ocarina of Time, there's the side story with the lava worm, whose name I don't remember at this point, which is a pretty good side story. Movies don't have time for that kind of thing.
But that's what sequels are for. Lots and lots of sequels. Here, Legend of Zelda, Two Towers. Legend of Zelda, Return of the King. Back from dinner.
You know, I just watched T2 the other day, and I'm gonna have to say movies don't have time for much because the most interesting parts of that movie are in the extended cut.
I mean, I know that the parts ended, but the thing that I would worry is if it's got a similar writing and production team to the Mario movie, and I get that, like, a kid's movie, Mario's definitely like a young kid's movie, and Zelda would aim more towards teens. I get that, but the biggest problem with the Mario movie is that movie does not take a moment to sit down, breathe, and let the characters exist and do their thing and, like, talk.
Breakneck.
There's one, if they had, like, 5 minutes spread out throughout the entire movie where it's like a 30-second conversation between Peach and Mario, a 30-second conversation between, I don't know, Luigi and Kamek, a 30-second conversation between Donkey Kong and Toad, I don't know. Just stuff so that the characters, like, feel more than just, okay, we need to do punchline, action scene, punchline, Jack Black singing, that was actually really good, you can keep that in, you know? Like, and I worry that, like, for Zelda is such a moody, take it your own piece kind of game, especially with the 3D ones. You know, it's just like, I don't know how you would do that in a script, you know, where it's just like, okay, you want to have a scene where he's actually exploring a dungeon and solving puzzles and shit. How do you, like, write that in without it feeling forced?
Here's the other thing, though. When you really break it down, a lot of these Zelda scripts and the games themselves are not particularly complicated.
No, they're not.
The difficulty lies in, as you mentioned, like stuff like exploring a dungeon, the slower paced stuff that exists between the plot points. How do you capture that in a movie? And I think it would be possible. I think it would be possible. In fact, I know it would be possible under a good director. The problem is more that video game movies don't tend to get those.
Yeah. It's, you know, this is the sort of thing, like, if we knew they had 3 hours to do it, I would feel fine, but I feel like they're going to get, like, an hour and 45 minutes tops, so we'll see.